Welcome to another episode of Future Institute's Future Talk segment. Future Talks is a monthly podcast organized and hosted by Future Institute, a nonprofit organization committed to growing student success and building a better society. Each month, you will hear from one of our stakeholders, either graduates, program participants, board members, sponsors, supporters, and community members. I'm your host, Nichole Pientka, program officer of one of Future Institute's programs, the Future Leaders Initiative, or FLY program. Today, our guest is Abenazer Mekete, senior at Cornell University and participant in the FLY program. Abenazer, why don't you just go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I am. My name's Abenazer. A lot of people call me Abe. I was born in Ethiopia, but I was raised in Chicago for I guess more than half my life now. I went to CMSA for from 6th to 12th grade. I spent a good part of my upbringing in a concept school. And yeah, I attend Cornell University. I'm studying information science. I'm interested in entrepreneurship, computer science, um, the intersection between tech and finance in general.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Just because I am also curious, how was your internship you had this summer? You want to tell us a bit about what that was and how
Yeah,
everything went?
yeah. This past summer, I spent around 3 months at Microsoft doing software engineering, and so I was working on the Outlook organization, which is the largest client for most email users, and that's because they service enterprises, and so companies that are using email services. And so there, I spent 3 months working on features to help developers better ship their products and bring new features to clients faster. And so I spent a good amount of time there doing that. It was exciting. It was fun. I learned a lot. I got the opportunity to meet a lot of amazing people that kind of shaped the way I'm looking at things at the moment. Met some really cool interns from across the world, and I got to work on something that touches the lives of millions of people across the world. And so that was pretty fulfilling. And I'm excited to kind of go back and see what I could do. I'm still contemplating on if I do want to go back, but it was a great experience.
That's great to hear. It's super exciting. What kinds of skills or experiences did you have during this internship that you feel like you could really maybe see yourself doing in the future or you think would really help you, start your career after you graduate?
This project, or the project I worked on this past summer, it was independent, and so I had a mentor in the Outlook organization who was actually pretty high up, and so he saw an issue working in Microsoft that he wanted to address, and so he came up with a project, and the general problem, he identified it and he shared that with me. And so I was able to kind of take point off on that, kind of think about how I want to solve the problem. In order to do that, I kind of talked to the users. I use the clients, as is better known in technical terms. Kind of talk to them to figure out what their pain points are. And then from there, I went on to kind of implement several solutions and kind of track the results from there, and then present that to the executive chairs of Microsoft, which was interesting. So I got to kind of go through the entire scope of starting a project to finishing it, shipping it out to users, and then getting feedback, and then making iterations after that. And so through that experience, I think I got to one, learn how to plan properly for things like this, and then two, I got to also develop my technical skills. I used frameworks and languages in computer science that are pretty in right now in the industry, and so those tools that I use really come in handy in the future. And so one thing that I've identified to be really important is just the experience of going from nothing to something that's optimal working and people are having a great time using, and then two, the technical skills that I got to develop. So with those two combined, I think I could take that to anywhere. To be honest, I'm interested in entrepreneurship, and so I have done a couple of things for startups in the past. Maybe that's something I'm kind of looking into right now at the moment too. But I could see myself kind of using this in a technical environment, building tech, developing apps, and solving problems in general.
Yeah, that sounds like a really great experience, especially just as an intern too. I mean, I feel like even people just starting out at companies don't even get that much experience doing something like that. So that's really awesome. It sounds like you feel like this internship really helped you kind of, see what your potential is, see what kind of experiences you can have in this field. Would you say that internships are really important for students, especially, before you graduate, have an internship experience no matter what exactly it is?
Yeah, I think internships are essential. Um, you know, this Microsoft, I think, was the first internship that I had at like a very large organization with hundreds of thousands of people across the world and with several million, if not billion, people using the services that I was working on. And so it really gave me an insight into the industry with what that looked like, an insight into the company and the culture of the company. One thing I found really interesting during my experience is that every internship is different, even with the same. I had friends that were interning as software engineers at different places, and their experience was completely different from mine. And so, something that I took away from this experience is that internships really give you an insight into what a company is like to work at. And so, this wasn't something I've experienced in the past. In the past, I've done research projects. That summer working with Northwestern, Cornell University, and things like that. I founded my own startup in the past as well, and I've gotten funding and went through that process as well. So this was unique and different in that sense, and I think it's accumulation of my past experiences and this experience being so different from one another, all of them, that I kind of have a good insight into what it would be like to go into an industry environment with a corporate culture, what it would be like to found your own company and then go on to work on that, and then what it would be on to kind of stay in academia and kind of explore new ideas and research and try to dive them through in that way. So I think internships are really important. Um, However, it can be challenging to find internships, especially for underrepresented students and minorities. There are a lot of programs out there that are kind of helping students do that. But I think, in the meantime, it's important to get experience in any way, whether that be starting your own project, working with friends, reaching out to alums and things like that. And so any experience is good experience. And so that's something that I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree. As someone right now who's trying to find an intern for myself and for Future Institute and our communication side of things, just to help, me with the 125 students in our program, it's a
Mhm.
lot for one person to handle. So, any help is helpful, and I hope to give an intern a good experience in learning all the communication processes and social media experience and all that stuff. So I think, like you
Yeah.
said, any experience is a good experience no
Yeah.
matter what. Well, that's good. How I just want to follow that up real quick with, since you said you had multiple kinds of experiences with this, like the big company, startup, research project, which one of these do you feel like you prefer that maybe you could see yourself kind of continuing in for your career? Is there any, did
Yeah.
it give you any insight into that?
That's a good question. I think in the long term, I do want to kind of be more entrepreneurial. I found that I'm really passionate building things from scratch, and I care about problems. And um, I think my previous experience the past summer working on my startup fellow with a really close friends of mine, building a team around that, working with people at Y Combinator, connecting with individuals across the globe, and kind of getting students together from across 50 plus different universities across the nation was really, really fun, I think, in general. It was a great experience too. And so I love the experience of kind of, identifying a problem that was really painful to a group of people and working with them closely to kind of solve that problem and then extrapolate that and make it bigger and kind of address a bigger issue that people are seeing. And that was a great experience. It was fulfilling. I got to kind of wear different hats. I was the CEO, but of course I was kind of in the software side of things, design side of things, marketing side of things. And so I love kind of having that multiple hat situation where I could kind of give input here and really be supportive to anyone that needs my help in a team. And so that's an end goal for me. I do want to identify a problem that I am passionate about and that other people are actually failing at kind of solving and kind of implement a solution that's optimal for that. So I kind of see myself doing that long term. But at the moment, I think something that's important to doing that is technical skills. As a software engineer and someone that wants to implement tech in the solutions I want to build in the future. So right now, I'm focused on building my technical skills in the sense of kind of understanding frameworks out there and getting that ground knowledge solidified. Alongside that, I do want to kind of develop my product management skills, which are kind of not technical, but more so people related skills. And so that's kind of managing people, working alongside people, communicating and things like that. And those go hand in hand to kind of help me achieve my long-term goal of kind of starting my own startup and seeing where that goes.
Well, that's great. Sounds like you kind of know what direction you want to go into, and that's a lot to say for someone who is just about to graduate and everything next year. And so it's good that you at least have kind of what you feel like you're gonna, what direction you want to go into. So that's good. Do you have any other additional things you want to say? Any advice you want to give to other students right now?
I don't have any specific things to share. I think it would be better to just give people my contact information so they could possibly reach out with any questions. So if people do want to reach out to me, my email is agm246@cornell.edu. And I'll be more than happy to answer any specific questions that people have.
Awesome. Well, that's really generous of you. And with that, I'd like to thank all of our listeners out there and thank you as my guest, Ebenezer. To learn more about Future Institute, visit futureinstitute.us or you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn at MyFutureUS.